Hi, I'm Kay, and this is the Art of Living, Session 2. Okay, y'all, I'm not going to lie. This is about my 25th take. This is not easy. Sitting in a room alone, looking at your phone, without any response from anybody on the other side. So, I'm going for it, and I hope you guys are extending me lots of grace because I'm just going to pretend like we're just chatting, sitting here having a conversation, and hopefully it will come across what I have in my heart to share with you today. So, here we go. What we're going to be talking about today is those first moments in the morning. Um, you know, when you wake up in the morning, if you're like me, your head is already swimming with like things you have to get done or things you forgot to do or I don't know, just a myriad of thoughts just coming at you. So that makes it even more important that we are purposeful with our mornings, with those first moments of our morning. We have 9 grandchildren. Number 10 is on the way in November. And I'm always learning from the grandchildren. And when we were on vacation this summer, we were all at the beach. And because Ricky and I tend to be early risers, earlier risers as we get older, we told the kids, hey, we're up anyway. Please just send the kids down when they wake up and we'll tend to them because we're up anyway. And it's a special time. I love being with them when they first wake up. But one thing I noticed, and I felt like the lesson that I learned in it, I'll share with you in a minute. But the first thing they do when they get up is they just want to climb up in your lap and just wake up. Just rest their head on your bosom and be with you. Even the 14-year-old, even though he doesn't climb up in our lap anymore, he would just sit beside us and lean his head on our shoulder, on our arm, and just quietly wake up. And I thought, what a beautiful picture of the opportunity that is ours as we wake up in the morning and we can just sit and be with Jesus. So that's what we're going to talk about ways that we might enhance that experience. Some things that I've learned that really and truly make me so eager to get up in the morning and get to my chair, which is the first thing. I do have a special place, a place that I sit every morning, same place. And there's a stack of books there. It's the books that I'm reading at the time. Obviously, my Bible is there. My Bible that I use in the mornings is very special to me. It's my daddy's Bible. My daddy passed away a couple of years ago, and this Bible was given to him by his little country pastor in southwest Arkansas, who approached him with his big old King James and said, Barry, do you know what you're reading? Are you able to understand it? And Daddy said, well, actually, that's a little hard to understand. He said, why don't I get you a Bible that might be a little bit easier for you to read? And this sweet little pastor went out and got my daddy this Message Bible, and it has his name on the front. And when he passed away, that is the one thing that I asked for first. And it's the one that I sit with in the morning. The other thing in my stack is this composition notebook. We're going to talk about that in a minute. I, at the time, am using Jesus Calling, but I've used other devotionals over the years. This is in my stack right now, which I'll talk about in a minute. Loving it, loving it. So I'm going to kind of go through what my morning looks like. Obviously, it involves good coffee. So as I sit there, I become aware of my breathing. I don't know if you realize that we go through life kind of shallow breathing. In our society, we're so bombarded with text and with knowing information the second it comes out and just just so much, the rapid pace with which we live. So just to become aware of my breathing, that I'm breathing in and out, and just to quiet myself. You know, the word says to be still and know that I'm God. And if I can't be still in my chair in those first moments of the morning, it's not likely that I'm going to be still another time of the day. So just to sit there and kind of gather myself, kind of breathe in, breathe out, and just be still. It's an amazing practice, and it has allowed me to, throughout the day, stop and be still. And so I encourage you to be aware of that breathing, just to sit in the morning and be still. The next thing I do after I kind of quiet myself is I grab this and I write. It's kind of a thing. It's called morning pages. It's known for unblocking creativity. It's known for allowing yourself to kind of get rid of all the things that are in your heart, in your head, things you're not even aware of. But as you take a pen, which I buy these by the box on Amazon, I can look up exactly what they are, but any good ballpoint pen that you like to write with, and longhand write 3 pages. That may seem like that's ridiculous. I'd never come up with 3 pages of things I could write. Well, then write. I have no idea what even to write on these 3 pages, but just do it. And as it becomes a practice, you'll find it easier and easier to just write those things that are worrying you, things you're excited about, things that you want to remember. Maybe a beautiful day. Sometimes my morning pages turn into, oh God, I love you so much. You're so good to me. How could I ever thank you for all the many, many ways you pour out your blessings on me? It'll just turn into that. Some days it's not so great. Some days it's, this has been a horrible day. Yesterday was worse. I mean, it's unedited. Obviously, this is your private book. It's not something that I leave around that I want everybody finding. There have even been some days that I immediately tore some pages out and ripped them up. It was that bad. And, you know, it's all of those things were inside me. But getting them out, putting them on paper, clears your head, clears your heart for what's to come next. Clears you to hear the Holy Spirit. Then I might move into my scripture. I love to read the Psalms, and for years I have read like the Psalm of the day. Like this morning, I read Psalm 17. Then I'll add 30 to that, I'll read Psalm 47. Then I'll add 30 to that, read Psalm 77. So I think you kind of get the idea of that. In doing that, you read 5 Psalms a day, and at the end of the month, you've read the whole book of Psalms. And then October 1st, I'll start again at Psalm 1. It never gets old. And, you know, David was referred to as a man after God's own heart. And as I read the Psalms, I enjoy the heart of David than the heart of God. Anyway, if you're not familiar with the Psalms, if you haven't spent much time in them, I would encourage you to do that. I love Psalms, and I love to start my day like that. Then I may skip over, and if there's something that the Lord's put on my heart, maybe I heard a podcast or heard a sermon and they referred to a particular passage that I'll want to go back and read again. This morning I read Ephesians. I just felt drawn to read Ephesians. if I'm doing a Bible study, like if I'm involved in a Bible study, I'll use this time to go over that scripture, possibly even do that Bible study, depending on, the timing. And then I mentioned this little book, which is kind of funny. This particular season of life, this has been just an excellent little source for me. I can't tell you how many times I have bought this book and literally thrown it in the trash. I was afraid of it because sometimes she refers to spirit, or she might quote Buddha, and I was so scared it was New Age. And as I've grown in my faith and grown in my understanding that I have the mind of Christ, I've been able to enjoy the book. I've been able to enjoy the things that she teaches and apply my own worldview and my own understanding of Christ. And I've gleaned some wonderful, wonderful, wonderful things from it. It's allowed me to know myself better, and it's allowed me to explore some areas of creativity and to explore some ideas that I've enjoyed. For instance, poetry. When I was in 5th grade, I won a poetry contest, and my parents weren't big on keeping things. They also were not real big on offering praise, so I don't have the poem. They didn't keep it, but I do remember that because I won the contest, I got to go to the airport and have a Coke with several other students with a famous poet. I have no idea who the poet was. I've tried to go back in the archives because it did get in the Arkansas Democrat, which is where I lived at the time, but I can't find any record of it. But it's kind of, reading through this, there was a part in it that talked about poetry, and I even ordered a couple of books of poetry, and it's kind of awakened in me a desire to kind of write some poetry again. And so it's just kind of challenged me to explore some ideas and to find she's still there. All coming together, and it's exciting how that'll happen as we pursue God. It's amazing how He's so much more in pursuant of us. Pursuant? Is that a word? Anyway, He's pursuing us way more than we could ever pursue Him. And as we seek to find Him, and as we set aside a time to really seek after Him with our whole heart, it's amazing the things that He will bring into our lives that at such a timely way, and you'll just see His hand in all of it. Recently I asked Him if I could see 2 redbirds. I don't know if you know, but redbirds are territorial. They fight typically, so you'll see a male and a female, but you won't see 2 of the redbirds. And so I had just said, Lord, I would love to see 2 redbirds. So I began to look for 2 redbirds, and I believe that is part of, well, I'll go back to that in a second. So I began to look for 2 redbirds, and I was looking out my kitchen window the other day, and there were 2 redbirds under my bird feeder. And I immediately began to discount it as a coincidence. Like, oh, that's no big deal, 2 redbirds. And I just was reminded of the words of Albert Einstein, who, again, I don't even know if he was a believer or not, but these are true words. We live as if everything's a miracle, or as if nothing is. Let me say that again because I kind of botched it. We can live our lives as if everything is a miracle or nothing is. So I do believe those 2 redbirds were a miracle. They were an encouragement to me to ask the Lord, even for the small things. And as I sit with Him in the morning, and I become more and more comfortable with believing that I am His daughter, and that I'm loved, and that I'm treasured, and believing that the words that I read here are for me and that they're true. And as I speak those things over my family and over my life, then I become more and more of who Christ created me to be. Developing that inner life is so key in the art of living. The world is screaming at us constantly. And if we have not quieted ourselves, and if we have not developed a relationship and are not developing that inner life. You know, I read this morning a couple of scriptures about that inner life. Psalm 51:6. What you're after is truth from the inside out. Enter me then, conceive a new true life. And 2 Corinthians 4:16. Well, I'm going to start at 16. So we're not giving up. How could we? Even though the outside, it often looks like things are falling apart on us. On the inside, where God is making new life, not a day goes by without his unfolding grace. Not a day goes by without his unfolding grace. I don't want to miss that. I want to sit with him in the morning. I want to hear it. I want to hear about his unfolding grace. As we build consistency, and as you develop your own habits, I think that you'll be astounded at the ways that the Father wants to speak to you. You'll be astounded at the ways as you begin to know yourself, how much you can enjoy yourself, how much you can enjoy spending time with the Father as he unveils to you who you were created to be. I mentioned this earlier, loving this book. I hope you've gotten it. I hope that you're reading it. I hope that you're enjoying it. It took me a little bit to get into it, but as I have, it's so good. And we'll be talking more about that. I want to close with this. Again, a lesson that I learned from my grandchildren. One of our granddaughters had just learned to go underwater. And she would go underwater and then come up, and I mean, as soon as she could clear the water from her eyes, she was looking to us to hear us say, "Yay, way to go, good job." And I felt like the Lord said, "Kaye, when did you quit looking to my face? When did you quit looking, expecting me to be cheering you on? If that is you, I want you to be encouraged. Look at his face. Look to his face. He is cheering you on. He is cheering you on. He loves you, and he desires to have relationship with you." So as you incorporate these things, and I hope you will, I hope you'll incorporate the morning pages. I hope you'll incorporate, if you haven't already have a system that you are reading the Word, soaking in the Word, I hope you'll incorporate that into your life. Give this a try. I'm going to read just a little bit when I close here. And then I spend some time in this in the morning, and I know I have a lot of time in the morning. I'm in a season of my life, don't hate me, you young people with young children. It is a season that I can spend a lot of time. So, ask the Father, what would he have you do of this? What would he have you incorporate into that time that you can sit and spend with him? Maybe it's 5 minutes, I don't know. But as you enjoy him and as you experience him, I think you'll do whatever it takes to spend as much time as you can. So, again, I'm going to pull out my little New Age book. I say that, all kidding aside. And I want to read what I read on September 15th. And this is where my heart is, and this is what I would pray for you as you desire to live your life in a way that blesses others and that is authentic to you. Authentic success is having time enough to pursue personal pursuits that bring you pleasure. Time enough to make the loving gestures for your family you long to do. Time enough to care for your home, tend your garden, nurture your soul. Authentic success is never having to tell yourself of those you love maybe next year. Authentic success is knowing that if today were your last day on earth, you could leave without regret. Authentic success is feeling focused and serene when you work, not fragmented. It's knowing that you've done the best you possibly can, no matter what circumstances you faced. It's knowing in your soul that the best you can do is all you can do, and the best you can do is always enough. Authentic success is accepting your limitations, making peace with your past, and reveling in your passions so that your future may unfold according to a divine plan. It's discovering and calling forth your gifts and offering them to the world to help heal its ravaged heart. It's making a difference in others' lives and believing that if you can do that for just one person each day, through a smile, a shared laugh, a caress, a kind word, or a helping hand, blessed are you among many. Authentic success is not just money in the bank, but a contented heart and peace of mind. It's earning what you feel you deserve for the work you do and knowing that you're worth it. Authentic success is paying your bills with ease, taking care of all your needs and the needs of those you love, indulging some wants, and having enough left over to share and save. Authentic success is not about accumulating, but letting go, because all you have is truly all you need. Authentic success is feeling good about who you are, appreciating where you've been, celebrating your achievements, and honoring the distance you've already come. Authentic success is reaching the point where being is as important as doing. Authentic success is knowing how simply abundant your life is, exactly as it is today. Authentic success is living each day with a heart overflowing. You know, no matter what shape I found myself in when I sit in my chair in the morning, when I get up, I have a heart overflowing. And I am so, so grateful that I don't rush into my days just in whatever mood I happen to wake up in. We have control over how we spend those first moments. And I hope that you've been challenged to enrich those times. Maybe you already have a routine that you love and that you're familiar with and that gets you into a place where you're happy and healthy and right with God. So anyway, if any of this I pray it has been a blessing to you. Again, this is way out of my comfort zone, and I'm grateful that you've invited me into your day and that you've allowed me to be part of it. So I look forward to hearing your feedback. I'm excited to see what the Lord wants to do in these next weeks ahead. Blessings.